Do you consider yourself as a high value person in a relationship, or do you just go along with the crowd and accept whatever your partner says about you? Let's talk about that tonight. Welcome to the channel. I'm Jim Miller, helping you find and keep the love of your life and write a better love story. Going to ask, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. When you do that, tick that bell icon. You'll be notified whenever I upload new content. Also, would love to ask you to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment in the section below, and check the description underneath the video for some free ebooks that I do give away. But with that, let's get into it. And I apologize, first of all, for being a little bit absent from the channel. I haven't made a video in a while. Been kind of sparse the last few months. As I said in my last video, I'd been dealing with cancer, chemo, but the hair's coming back a little bit, as is the beard, so I'm kind of happy about that. And my scans are looking good, so hopefully we are on the track to recovery here. Anyway, enough about that. Where do you develop your worth in a relationship? Where do you find your worth? If you're like a lot of us, and if you're like me especially, you pick your worth from what your partner or your ex or whoever feels about you, okay? And understand something, people, the mistakes that I talk about in these videos, I've made them all. So, I'm not a perfect human being by any stretch of the imagination. I made these mistakes, and I know that that's just not the way to go. And all people and all breakups are different, but usually what happens in most breakups, when the breakup happens, there's some harsh words that are thrown back and forth. Oh, you're just a thoughtless asshole, you're a selfish bitch, whatever. And what many of us do, and I know many of us do this, a lot of you can relate to this, I know, because I read your emails, even if I haven't responded, unfortunately. I've read these emails, and a lot of people are this way. When you develop your worth, or when you extract your worth from what someone else thinks about you, be that your ex or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, if you allow someone else to determine your self-worth, they're in a good mood, things are great, but when they're in a bad mood, or if things aren't going well, you start to panic. I mean, I used to do that. I'd start to panic. What do I do wrong? And you want to try and get in there and fix it. And that's bad. So you have to consider yourself as a high-value person, and there's ways to do that. Like I said, those last words that come out of there, a lot of us stick that in our brain, and it just on auto repeat. And we just sit at home, or we sit wherever we are and just listen to those words over and over and over and over and over, and you start to believe it. It starts to become a part of you, and you need to break that pattern. And I've got some simple tips to help you break the pattern, and there's no magic here, people. There's just repetition. I mean, you're repeating the bad stuff. You got to repeat the good stuff too. So I have a couple of ideas there that I'd like to talk about. And I've said this before, it's not an original thought by any stretch of the imagination, but if you want to get your ex back, you've got to get yourself back first. You've got to find yourself. You've got to be a whole person to go back into it. And I'm a prime example. My girlfriend and I had broken up several times, and neither one of us made any changes while we were apart. We get back together, and a couple of weeks down the road, after the honeymoon wears off, you find yourself in the same broken relationship you were in before, and it ended again. After the last breakup, we both took some time to do some work on ourselves to really, we love each other, we loved each other then, but we just had some issues, and we both took the time to do some work that was very necessary for us. So here are a couple of things that you can do that will help you. One of the things that I did was to leave some notes for myself around the house. I mean, it sounds crazy, and people come around here to see these notes. What the hell's wrong with this guy? But I had a note on my mirror in the bathroom that said, you deserve someone who will love you as much as you love them. You are worthy of love. Things like that. I love you. I wrote myself a letter, actually, and I put it in an envelope. I put a stamp on it, and I threw it in the mail. And 2 or 3 days later, it shows up in my mailbox, and I pulled it out and I read it. And just told myself what a great guy I am. Not in a conceited way, but just, hey, you know what? You bring a lot to the relationship. You bring a lot to anybody who's in your life. You bring a lot to their life, okay? And it's important that you know that. And little notes left around the house can help you with that. Leave one in the car. Everywhere I went, my mind was on auto repeat about what a thoughtless asshole I was or whatever. My mind's on auto repeat, and then I start seeing these little notes everywhere. And that kind of eventually took over. Another thing, number 2 thing that I would recommend you do, I'm a big fan for writing things down. I remember when I was in school, the teachers always used to say, if you take notes, you'll remember this better. And I think that writing things down can really help you to really dig into them and to develop them. So I took a list and I made a list of pros and cons. I don't like to say cons, but these are my good qualities. Make a list of your good qualities, and these are areas that need improvement. Now, while you can't accept everything that everybody says about you as the God's honest truth, sometimes there are some hints of truth in there that you need to look at. Some of the things that my girlfriend said to me, I had to look at and go, really, 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 and get out of the denial and go, yes, this is an area that needs improvement. Now, there were some things that she said about me that are part of my character, and I'm not going to change them. They've worked for me, and they're not offending anybody else. It's just things that maybe she didn't like. And those are the things that I'm not going to change. There's no reason to change those. They're not detrimental character flaws or anything like that. They're just parts of me, parts of the way that I am. My sense of humor, for one, can get a little dark every now and then. But it's not something that I need to change, I don't think. But I had a list of my good qualities, and I kind of read over those good qualities, and I kind of found examples from my life of when I exhibited those good qualities. But I also looked at the areas that needed improvement, and I had to go through some examples of my life, and I had to do some work on those areas, and I had to be more mindful of them. Again, the repetition really helps here. I've put a lot of work into getting where I am, and I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm in so much of a better place than I was just a couple of years ago. And I've said this before in my videos, self-improvement is never a waste of time. Whether my ex and I, or whether my girlfriend and I would have gotten back together or not, it doesn't matter. Well, it matters, but it doesn't matter in the fact that I have improved myself and I feel better about who I am. Bringing that in a relationship, I'm not in a relationship because I need somebody in my life. I'm in a relationship because I want somebody in my life. And there's a big difference there. If you've hit that, you'll understand. And number 3, another thing that I think is very good that has helped me are affirmations. Again, kind of like the notes that you leave around. And you don't have to just affirm yourself into craziness. But tell yourself, rehearse those qualities. Tell yourself, when you're looking in the mirror, say something nice to yourself. Smile at yourself in the mirror, and try not to break up laughing, because I was in a bad mood. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I start smiling. And I look like a freaking idiot. And eventually it kind of changes your mood, and you realize that you are a good person. You need to see yourself as a high value person, because if you don't see yourself as a high value person, no one else will either, including your ex or your partner. So just a couple of ideas, folks, and it's important. Again, this self-image, this self-worth is very important in relationships, because this is who you are. This is who you have to live with, whether girlfriends, boyfriends come and go. You may or may not get back together with your ex. You may marry them and live happily ever after, or you may end that relationship, and that relationship may end again if you get back together, and then you go on to someone else. You find somebody else in your life. But if you know who you are and you know what you bring into the relationship, that's half the battle right there. So that's what I wanted to share with you tonight, folks. And, I appreciate all the warm wishes that I've got and whatnot. I love you guys. I do. I get a lot of input and a lot of feedback. And like I said, I've been bad about answering those. But I do appreciate it. A lot of prayers going on for me out there. And I truly appreciate it. I mean, it means the world to me. And if I can just help somebody, if this video helps somebody somewhere along the line feel a little better, then it's all worth it. I'm going to try and do more videos, but until next time, folks, Jim Miller, helping you find and keep the love of your life. Thank you.